We are Two Poets, the podcast where we take prompts from you all and write poems and talk poetry and all creative things. Welcome back for another week. We've been gone for a couple weeks, but we're back.
It's been a minute.
It has. I mean, a little more than a minute, but
yeah,
like 2 minutes. It's been like 2 minutes.
It's been a couple minutes, probably closer to 5 minutes. You guys were in Colorado.
Yeah.
How was that?
It was great.
That sounds great.
Yeah, the reason we've been gone for a couple weeks is, well, I was gone out of town, out of state for some family vacation stuff and, you know, just life in general. So we had to take a couple weeks off. But yeah, we're back. And yeah, Colorado was amazing. It was honestly the first trip I've taken in I don't know how long,
dude,
where I did zero work. Zero work on the trip. Normally, I'm always like catching up on work, you know, doing some graphic design stuff or whatever. But nope, this trip, I literally did nothing.
That sounds
as far
lovely.
as work related, and it was lovely.
Oh, yes.
And I was talking to my family. I was like, everyone else was like having to do work on some days, you know. Lauren's like doing QuickBooks at night for Da Vinci's, and sister-in-law's doing lawyer stuff, and I'm literally the only ones there. I'm just gonna sit here and play chess on my computer. I'm gonna go for a walk. Or
heck yeah.
And what was cool is I went on like a lot of photography adventures.
Yes,
I just took my camera and just walked around town.
Love that,
and
dude.
It was amazing.
That's awesome. I saw you posting pictures. What were you shooting on, actually? It was film, wasn't it?
No, it was with my Olympus mirrorless camera.
Oh, it was the Olympus. It looked like film, though.
Yeah, with the editing I did, I
awesome.
like having that kind of old style look to it.
I love it, dude. That's like my thing. I love that. Looks awesome.
No, it was great. Just being up in the mountains, away from this stupid humidity.
Yes, Colorado sounds amazing, especially right now, because it is so freaking hot and humid, and everyone is mowing their lawn, and I can't breathe anywhere I go.
Yep.
It's just like this cloud of heaviness on my chest, and yeah.
Yeah, when we got back, like literally, it was like, so it was like 70s in Colorado, which feels great in the dry heat. And at night, it's cold, which is, that's why I love the mountain air at night. Mm-hmm. And the minute we drove back to Oklahoma and got out of the car at like 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening, I was just like, I felt like I was in an oven just baking because of the stupid humidity and the heat. And I'm like, nope, did not miss this.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. And thankfully, it's been raining like almost every day.
This is like the most rain.
Yeah, and it kind of cools things down, but then 30 minutes after, it's so freaking muggy.
Yep.
You cannot breathe. It's like someone holding a damp cloth in front of your face, smothering you, and it's pretty brutal.
It's like the swamps, Louisiana.
Very much the swamps.
What have you been up to this past couple weeks that we haven't been recording?
Man, we are going through some good transition. I haven't like cleared this with Hogan, so I won't say too much because I don't know what she wants people to know or not. But we are doing some cool things, looking at potentially moving to Oklahoma City.
Nice.
Which is going to be really fun. And so in the middle of that, we are still like doing our stuff. We're still, you know, writing and still doing our own podcast stuff, which is always fun.
Which is Pages and Pours. Everyone should go listen.
Yeah, our podcast is called Pages and Pours, where we talk about our two favorite things, books and coffee. And I'm going through a book right now that is very interesting. We haven't said what it is, so I can't say. Yeah. But it's really funny because one of the narration is in all like first person monologue. Mm-hmm. And I just keep hearing Fraser Crane.
Yes.
Throughout the whole narration.
Kelsey Grammer.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's like funny. And at the same time, it's like really pretentious and like really like, oh, get over yourself. Yeah. So it's really great though. So that's been really fun. And I've been making coffee in the meantime. Good. That's been fun too.
Nice.
Get back behind the bar and making lattes and all that fun stuff. So
yeah,
it's been a good time.
And not just plain old lattes. Y'all are doing some crazy gourmet lattes there too.
We rolled out the new one called the Smokey Robinson. Mm-hmm. And it's literally like the simplest but like the best tasting like iced coffee latte drink I've had in a long time. It's just all it is like a dark chocolate mocha with orange zest on top. but you smoke the glass with hickory.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like this really smoky, savory, sweet balance. It's so good.
I need to go in and try that.
Yes, for sure. You should come in. I will be there Thursday through Friday. Today's Thursday, so I'll be there tomorrow through Sunday.
Sweet.
So yeah, you should come in, get a latte.
I know I need to. I might do that before work tomorrow.
Heck yeah, you totally
Get a nice heavy latte before.
Yes, do it before you go out and sweat.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of what we've been up to the past couple weeks. Not a whole lot, nothing exciting, just doing stuff. But yeah, it is so good to be back. Yeah. I miss getting to be behind the microphone and do things. So
me too. There's something really nice about just kind of getting together, and it's part of our routine.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Just, like you have something to look forward to, and
yeah, because also means we have something to write each week.
Yes,
you know?
And we always have really good conversation too.
Yeah,
I really enjoy that.
Absolutely. So. Yeah. Well, should we jump on into the this week's poems?
I think so.
All right, let me pull up the prompt to remind everybody. So, everyone, if you didn't listen last week, the prompt we drew was from Nathan Guidry here in Enid, Oklahoma, whose prompt was feeding ducks peas at a park, but geese keep getting in the way and bullying the ducks. So very, very pointed, topic there. So
very specific.
Very specific. Sometimes I forget words when I talk. Yeah. Very specific topic. But no, I mean, the reason I love ones like this, when at first you read topics or prompts like this, it's like, what the heck am I supposed to write about? But I mean, I like that because I'm like, well, now I got to challenge myself. I got to really think.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then sometimes, like, when we get those prompts, it's like, oh, this should be easy. And it's like, well, I went through like 6 drafts. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to write about. Well, I think I went first last time, so I think I'm going to give you the honor. Okay. Yeah, I'm going first this time.
I will go first. I went through probably about 3 different drafts of this. Mm-hmm. And the first one, I tried to be very, light and comedic and almost like Dr. Seuss-ish. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, I hate everything about this. I'm not Dr. Seuss quality, So I didn't do that. And then I did a second one that was more like serious, whatever. And I was like, I'm just not feeling it. So I ended up going for more of a lonely nostalgia emotional thing because I'm a lonely and nostalgic person, obviously. Mm-hmm. And this is also a draft, but I kind of wanted to just leave it. And just kind of let it be imperfect in its own right, I guess. Mm-hmm. So this is called An Old Man and a Duck.
I love it.
And I'm sorry, Nathan, I did not take your prompt literally. I took premise, but I did not take literal prompt. So, all right. This is called An Old Man and a Duck. I've been here so many times, the ducks know my voice. They know the sound of my bag. I shake it and they come waddling over, jabbering to each other in their duck dialect. One duck is older than the rest. He seems to remember me. I wonder if he also remembers you. Does he wonder where you are? Does he miss that little song you used to sing in that silly voice as you scattered feed across the tufted earth? Does he see me alone and recognize the emptiness that follows me? I wonder if he understands loneliness, death. I've never seen him with a mate. Maybe he experienced his own loss. He waddles up to me, chattering, probably asking me about my day, how I've been, or maybe he's asking where you are. What a picture we make. Me in my camel cardigan and khaki pants, a bag of peas in my hand, graying at the temples, talking to a starving mallard, his beak paling with age around the rims, missing a few feathers in his left wing, the green ring around his neck pearlescent in the glinting sunlight. Friends through the years, bonded through mutual hobbies, my love of feeding ducks and his enjoyment in being fed. The lake reflects the sky on its diamond waves. Clouds hover by gently. A cool breeze rustles through banks of drooping grass. The park bench holds me fast like a child cupping a tiny treasure in his hands. The duck hops up next to me, squawking, leaning into my lap where I hold the bag of peas. What a sight we are, an old man and a duck.
Nice. I like that. And that's my poem. I like that. I like the imagery of that.
Yeah. It's very simplistic. Hogan was actually like, she was like, when I see this prompt, I see like a painting. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, that's an interesting premise. And I kind of like the idea of it just being a picture. Mm-hmm. And that's just kind of what it is. And so so I kind of like started it and just let it go where I wanted to go, and then just kind of left it. I didn't really do much else to it. So
awesome. Yeah. I want to hear more about that later. So I'll read mine and we'll kind of talk about our process with it and everything. So what's funny is you called yours Old Man with a Duck. Mine's called Saturdays with Grandpa.
I love it. Okay, here we go.
Both of ours feature old men.
That's perfect.
And we did not talk to each other about these beforehand. So, and what's funny is I heard you say mallard in your poem, and I almost put mallard in mine.
Oh yeah,
but I didn't use mallard. So
nice.
All right. So yeah, my poem is, and I did kind of take this prompt on the literal sense, but yeah, mine is called Saturdays with Grandpa. And I should also preface and say, this is not a real life experience that I have had. I just wrote it from the perspective of someone who has had this experience.
Okay, so this is not your grandpa.
It's not my grandpa, okay. Yeah. So the story is not about me and my grandpa. This is just a made up premise. So here we go. As a child, I sat with my grandfather at the park across from the ice cream stand that had my favorite double chocolate flavor. It was messy. We would sit and laugh as he told jokes, sipping Cokes, and I knew everything he said was made up. It was pleasant. I'd feed the ducks and watch them waddle and mimic their quacks with my high-pitched vocals, and my grandfather would just smile. It was silly. I said I wanted to be like the ducks, flying through the air with all their friends, wings out, flying V and splashing onto the still pond. It was a dream. Every Saturday, I would sit on the stoop, watch Grandpa pull up in his two-door beat-up coupe with my chef's bag of duck food, which was mostly peas. It was excitement. Today was different with an overcast day, and Grandpa could tell I wasn't as elated as I normally am. It was different. We made our way to our favorite bench, ice cream in hand, and I hardly licked my favorite flavor as it melted in my hand. It was disappointing. As I half-heartedly fed the ducks, a gang of geese began to rush in and eat up all the peas. It was confusing. I watched as the ducks watched from the outside as the geese filled their bellies with chests puffed high, and something inside me resonated. It was relatable. Grandfather saw the look in my eye and sombered his tone, and began to talk into the void, knowing I would listen. It was uncomfortable. He said sometimes in life, others might be bigger, might be stronger, and even be more proud, but it's up to us to show kindness. It was clicking. I watched as he stood up and didn't shoo the geese away, but rather walked up to each and fed them, then the ducks, then back to the geese, and began to dance his silly little dance in such a way that I laughed. It was wonderful. To this day, I remember my grandfather's words as I sit on the same bench with my two girls, a bag of peas for the ducks and one for the geese. It is beautiful.
Man, that's awesome. Good imagery and good like moral lesson.
Yeah, I went the moral lesson route with that.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, I was thinking about, what should I do with this? And then I kind of was like, well, it's kind of a metaphor. I can use this as kind of like a metaphor and through the eyes of a child and like using it as like a teaching moment with his grandfather on a Saturday.
Totally.
Kind of went that route with it.
I love that. I think that's really good, man. I love that stuff.
And I tried something new that I'd never done before.
Oh, yeah?
Which I'm sure you can see after every stanza, I ended it with it was this.
It was this, yeah.
It was this. And like using that to describe, everything that came before.
I love that.
So I never tried that before. So I thought I would try that with this one.
It brings good like clarity to like each individual emotion or each individual element that's being like portrayed. And that's really good, man.
Yeah.
I love that. Awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Good stuff.
That's the thing is we want to try new things, right? Experiment with new ideas, with new styles.
That is the challenge.
That is a challenge. That is a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Doing this is a great way to like keep up with those new styles and try new creative ways to write.
I had a really good conversation with friends. We went to the city yesterday, and Hogan has a friend in town that she hasn't seen in like 2 years, and her name is Chandler. And on the way back, we were talking about writing, and we were talking about school and all that kind of stuff. And Chandler is I don't want to get this wrong. She teaches English literature at a college in Amherst. I'll say that because I don't remember specifically which college. And so I was like, okay, do you have any go-to books that have like impacted? Is there like a single book that has like impacted your vocabulary? And we just started talking about that. And she was talking about like classics, like reading lots of classic literature and all that stuff. And we got into writing, and we were talking about specifically poetry. And she was like, there are different ways that you can choose to read. One is for knowledge. So you're reading to learn, whether it's vocabulary or whether it's like, like structure or whatever. And then you can read for like the escape. You can read for like being like propelled into something else that you don't have to, worry about and all that stuff. Or you can read to see like the artist's like intended like message or their intended style, And she was like, in doing that, a really good way to go about your writing is to take a concept and write it out one way, and then go back and look at it and like take note of how many like verbs and how many adjectives and how many nouns and pronouns you have, and then decide what direction you want to take it. So go from that, write another one that solely focuses on adjectives.
Okay.
And then write another piece that maybe focuses more on nouns and subject, and then write another piece that maybe is very verb heavy, very descriptive, very action oriented.
Very cool.
And then out of those three, you have something that you can either pick that you like, or you can take elements of all of them and put them together. And I was like, man, that's such a good concept, because I usually in my process, I have the tendency to start something. Either I have like a place that I want to start and I don't know where it's going, and I just let it be its own thing, or I know where I want to get to and I just kind of start going and just hopefully get there.
Yeah.
But my intentionality is not so much focused on the details of the piece. It's usually focused on the beginning and the ending.
Okay. And
then I'll let it sit and then I'll come back to it.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's a really good challenge to take the same concept and write it a different way, and like focus on drawing different things out of it. And then at the end, you have multiple things that you can either piece together, or you can take from this and take from that. And I just thought that was really, really good advice. And I wish I'd had more time to do that with this one.
Yeah.
Because this one is very like, there's a lot of room there for description. There's a lot of room for some like backstory or for some like imagery. And I had already started writing this one. And I was telling her how I was like, I'm struggling with this one because I want it to be, I don't want to put out anything that I don't think is good, because usually, and you probably experience this too, you do something and people really enjoy it, but it's not good to you because you're like, I know it could be so much better. And I really struggle sometimes with that perfectionism. And she was just like, isn't that the whole point of this though? Like, isn't the whole point of this is to show your process and talk about the process? Because if all you put out is stuff that you think is perfect, that gets really boring. I'm like, yeah, that does get really boring. So kudos to you, Chandler. I did not intentionally like try to focus on perfection. But yeah, I just thought it was a really interesting conversation, and I took away a lot from that one. So
yeah, those are really good words of wisdom there.
Yeah, for sure. She's super smart.
Nice. Yeah. And I mean, and that kind of brings up kind of what we were wanting to talk about today, which is talking about enjoying the process of what you are creating, whatever it is that you might be doing, is how do you enjoy the process? is it hard for you to enjoy the process, or are you doing it for the sake of making money? Like, what is the process? And not so much focusing on the end or the beginning, but that journey in the middle. And I'm kind of the same way with you when you talk about with writing. Like, I know my starting point, I know what I want to get across.
Yeah.
And then it's like, whatever happens in the middle, I'm totally fine with taking this crossroad, which goes over this hill, which now takes a fork in this road. Yeah. When I was originally planning to be over here, so I'm totally fine with that in the middle. But yeah, I'm very much like, this is how I wanted to start and this is how I wanted to end, or at least get the point across with this. And then however I get there, it's...
Totally. It's a really interesting thing because it's some people are like extremely intentional about the details in their structure. And some people are just like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're just throwing stuff on the page. And I think it's really cool when you see people that are so capable of intentionality and structuring something together where it's like cohesive, but it also has additional meanings beyond just the overall point of the piece. But I really freaking admire the person who just like sits down and just does it and it comes out like really, and they never just come out amazing, but like the person that I think that was my thing. I always wanted to be the person that could just sit down and write it out and be done with it.
Yeah.
And it's a good reminder, like you do need to have intentionality. You do need to be able to go back, because how much better could your piece be if you were able to focus on not just the overall message, but maybe little things within that you could throw in additional little pieces here or additional wisdom here. And I think you did that really well with your piece.
Oh, thank you.
Because you have a lot of like little, like you have like some meaning within the scene and there's emotion within the emotion. And like, I think you captured that pretty well.
I appreciate that. Yeah. That's what I was going for. It worked.
It was good.
It worked. But yeah, that was, like I said, it was one of those things I knew what I wanted to start with and there it went. And so enjoying the process is, I think, probably one of the hardest and easiest things to do.
Yeah.
Because when you're starting out and it's new, you're doing something new, you were like, oh, I'm going to go create this thing. Like, the process is fun. It's amazing, especially when you're learning something new, you've got that new technique you're trying, and you're just getting to spend time with it. No rush on anything. You're doing it for the sake of just wanting to do it. And it's like, that new process is so exciting. Yeah. But eventually after time goes on and maybe you're taking orders, and you have all of these clients, and you're trying and you have deadlines.
Now it's work.
Now it becomes work. Now you're no longer focused on that process. You're like, I've got this order. This is my deadline. Here's how I'm starting it. Here's how I'm ending it. And that's all that matters, is I got to get it done. And so, I mean, I would still say in the beginning, you're still having fun with that process until you realize, okay, now I've got this and who do I have to get this to next Saturday? And then at that point, it's like, I just got to sledge through it, get to the next thing. And then maybe once in a while, you'd be like, I'm just going to focus on me today, and just paint and have fun.
Get inspired.
Hopefully. But I think there comes a time, whether, whatever it is that you do, especially as creative people, where originally it started as a passion, as something that we love and do. And then eventually it becomes this point of, oh man, now it's just a sludge, a grind to get through, or the fact where maybe my mind is shut off and I'm just brainlessly going through it. Do you ever feel that way when you're writing or doing something like that? Do you ever feel that kind of sludging through?
I have definitely felt that way, and not just in writing, in a lot of different areas. I think that's why formulas work really well, because if you can find a formula for your creative process, it will actually really help you through that sludge time. Because where you're going, what the next step is. You have to develop that. And that's the hard part, is how do you develop the formula in a way that works? And it's a lot of trial and error. But I think that's a place that I'm at right now, is I want to develop a formula that allows me to actually go in and be more intentional. Because when you're just like sitting down and you're doing it for you, it's really fun. It can be inspiring. It can be challenging. It can be emotional, but it's for you. And so it's like, whatever it is, that's what it is. And you love it. When it's for someone else, or when it's like for something specific and it's a crunch and you have to get it out, you still want it to be good, but it's not for you. It's like something that you have to literally sit down and force yourself to do. Yeah. And if you're just winging that, that's going to be a nightmare. Like, you could still create something really amazing out of that. But I think it really helps to be intentional with designing some form of workflow or formula that you can weave into your creative process. Otherwise, it's going to be like uber stressful. Yeah. Because you're just trying to do it and wing it and throw it all together and hope that it gets out on time and hope it's good after that, you know? Yeah. So formulas, man, I think they help a lot.
That's true. I can see that helping. Especially with even like helping you see the light at the end of the tunnel, if there's that formula.
Yeah.
Involved.
If you have like, if you know you have steps, I think that would make it a lot easier, because then you could even time out your steps. Yeah. Like, you could literally say, today I have 2 hours dedicated to this. I know that today the most important thing I need to do is focus on this aspect. And then you can give yourself like goals within the goal. Yeah. And break it up that way. Otherwise, if you're just like sitting down to do it, you're going to do as much as you can in as quick amount of time as you can. And if you don't finish, but you spent all this time trying to hash it out, now you have to stop and you're like, God, I still have to do more tomorrow. Yeah. And it becomes this, like, you'll get burned out really quick, I think. Yeah. Because it's almost like this never ending cycle, this hamster wheel that you can't get off of. So yeah, I think if it is possible to find a formula within your process, it would probably make your life a lot easier. Speaking in general, not you specifically, but like in general, yeah. I think it would. No,
I agree. I think that's good for some people for sure. And as always, not everything works for everyone, but I think for a majority of people. So, good tip: if you find yourself struggling with scatterness and trying to get things done in time, I'm sure, like Ben said, a schedule probably work for you. I typically tend to be the seat of my pants, just wing it type, you know?
Same.
I try so hard to come up with plans. And so I will say the only thing I don't wing it on is when I'm making candles, because it's very scientific and you have to be precise, and there are steps you have to follow. There's some winging it involved, but not a lot, because everything has to be scientific.
What is your candle company, by the way?
580 Candle Co. 580candleco.com if you want to buy some candles.
Dreamy.
I mainly sell to the local area here, but I also sell online.
Go check it out.
I do that. So that's kind of like my on the side hobby, small business that I kind of just, I don't care to make a lot of money from. I just do it because it's fun, and I can provide candles for people that love candles, you know? But like everything else, so like I do a lot of logo design and like graphic design stuff. And so just like an example of like enjoying the process and leading to burnout and stuff like that is like, when I first got into logo design, specifically logo design, like I've done a lot of different graphic design illustrations and stuff, but specifically logo design. When I got into that, I was so pumped and so stoked I'm a logo designer now. Like, I actually am not just wanting to be one. I'm like, went from just designing my own things, my own brands and stuff, to now people are paying me to do it for them, from small projects to huge projects to full branding stuff. And so doing that at the beginning was like, I loved it. I had a process, I was trying to be very which eventually that just like flew out the window, and I was just, still winging everything. But now, like, I despise doing logos. Oh, no. No, I still enjoy that I'm creating something, right? Yeah. So, like, I love the fact that I am creating something from scratch, creating something cool that basically is a symbol for somebody or for a company or whatever. Like, it's a symbol that represents, But I no longer enjoy the process as much, just because, I don't know. I think I just did it for so long, and it was just kind of, I got to that point where it was like, I need to make money, and I'm doing this to make money, and I've got all these clients now, and then I'm working with clients that I absolutely cannot stand because they keep changing every little detail, even though we agreed this is what it needs to be. And I did their changes they wanted, but they're still now not happy with it and wanted to do a whole new design. I'm like, I just finished what you wanted. And then I have some clients where they're just sent from heaven. They're wonderful. One and done. They're so happy with it, and so just that whole, to where I'm just kind of like, well, this isn't fun anymore because now I'm doing it for somebody who is super nitpicky and is not, and people who do logo design, this, 99% of the people you're creating logos for are not creative people.
Yeah, that's true.
Why they're paying you to do it. So they don't see the details. They don't see the reason why. It's like, no, I'm not using 6 different fonts in your logo. I'm not doing that for you, I am not going to use 12 colors that are not within the same color palette, and
oh my gosh,
dealing with that for so long, it's like, I used to love the process where I was like, oh, I get to create this, and now I'm making these brands, and now I'm just like, if I'm going to do a logo, I'll do it for myself, or I'll do it for the company that I work for now, or some people that I know. And so, that's kind of where I'm at, And so I think a big part of it is also recognizing, do you not enjoy the process anymore? Then you should probably do something different.
Do something,
or find a way to set boundaries and rekindle that love for the art that you're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I could definitely see that being a challenge, especially when it's not your idea. When someone's coming to you trying to convey something that they have in their mind, it's almost never going to be exactly like they think it is.
Yeah.
And you have to create something based off their wants and needs and desires. And so it's different than you having the freedom to create.
Exactly, yeah.
So it's like if you were a designer and someone brings you a logo concept, that would be very difficult because you are having to take whatever they see in their mind and put it on paper or whatever and try to make it as close to what they want.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're like in the position of like brand identity and they're like, here's what our brand says.
Yeah.
Like this is who we are. Then you get to create something out of that. I could see there being some difference there. And there being a little bit more creative freedom there.
Yeah, I love it when people come to you with words, with descriptors, and not like, we want a big shark fin with a mountain with a surfer jumping, just weird stuff like that. I love it when they come with you with descriptors. It's like, these are the words that describe our company because, I can work with that.
Yeah, totally.
I can actually come up with something, not try to fit your crazy shark mountain surfer idea into a logo,
I will say, and I don't know, maybe you have something like this. You probably do. But so Hogan and Kristen Giuliano, they have their business, which is Oak and Ivy, and they do all the window paintings.
Shout out to Oak and
Ivy. We're just plugging everyone today.
Yeah, I know.
They do window designs throughout the year, but their busiest time is definitely through holidays, and people contact them and they'll do custom window designs for them, window painting and all that kind of stuff. And they got to the point where they created a survey so that they could literally have the client go and fill out the survey. And in the survey, they were able to pick the descriptors that they wanted within their window. So by the time they get their survey, they can see everything the client wants, and they can see like everything is laid out for the client. So the client has all the information they need. The girls have all the information they need.
Yeah.
All they have to do is literally agree on a time and go out and do the window. And before, it was like back and forth conversations.
Yeah, which was my problem.
Yeah, and it was just like all the time just going back and forth with people, and someone would agree to something and then they would do a mock-up and send it to them, and then they'd be like, can we change this little thing? And it was just all the time. So they literally were like created the survey and then gave like limited options. There are options, but maybe 3, and then from there the customer can just kind of decide, and that way they have like a say, and then the artists have like final say because they receive the survey, and that actually like sped their productivity up and like excelled communication with their clients and made it just such a more easier, enjoyable process. Because then they can just take whatever they have and they just go do it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's the key there is don't give the customer too much freedom. Make them choose between your list of options. Because that was my problem. I like to, because I'm the nice guy that likes to sit down and it's like, let's talk about your company. Let's talk about what specifically do you want to see? And I should have just been like,
here's what you get.
Here's my list of questions. Answer these as specific as possible. But I'm not going to be in the room. I'm going to send you a piece of paper. You write it out, and then you give that to me, and I'm going to work off of that. That's what I should have done. But yeah,
so are you not actively doing logos now?
I'm not advertising that I'm doing logos. I'll still. I mean, brother's got to make money, so I got bills to pay.
You need a $10,000 logo, Corey will hook you up.
Yeah, I mean, I still got bills to pay, so I mean, I'll still pick up jobs here and there.
Yeah,
if I'm like, crap, I'm short this month, I'll go fish out a logo job, find something and still do like knock out a logo and do it. And I mean, so it's not, I mean, now it's like I'm doing them less. So they are a lot more fun again because I'm not out here trying to hustle and get clients and, got 6 logos working on a week, at the same time I'm trying to like send out and get approvals and stuff. So now it's just like, if I'm doing one every now and then, and I'm charging a premium price now, I used to charge lower so I can get more, and don't ever do that. Charge your worth, always charge what you're worth. I am just now learning at 37 years old after doing design and stuff for a long time. I'm just now learning to charge what you're worth.
Yeah. That's a hard lesson.
Yeah. I've screwed myself out of so many jobs. I mean, I got the jobs, but I just got paid crap because I wanted to be nice and, but now I'm like, no, this is what I charge. You don't want it? Cool. Go talk to the next person,
Absolutely.
But yeah, so I'm still occasionally doing some like, I just did one a couple weeks ago. And I'm going to also be, so I also include in the package, that I will do basically a mural of their logo as well on their business if they want, or like a hand painted, like a hand lettered, hand painted sign as well. And so I did a logo for a company here in town, which they're not a business yet, so I won't say their name. But they are starting up here in Enid. And so I did a logo for them, but also in the package, they wanted a hand painted, like big sign that they're going to put out front of their business and everything. So I'm going to be doing that probably this next week, the hand painted sign. I got the logo done now. I just got to paint it for them. But yeah, if I don't do it as often now, it's more fun because
it's more enjoyable.
It's more enjoyable.
It's not consuming your life.
Yeah,
man. Hogan did the custom pet portraits for a while.
Yeah, she did one for us.
Yes,
years ago.
And it started out that way. It was really fun, and it got to the point where everybody wanted them for like Christmas and stuff. So she would get like a ton all at the same time.
Which that's a great problem to have.
It is, except you're doing custom. And so you have to communicate with each individual person and get details, and they all have to be done within a certain time frame and all that. And that's another kind of a similar boat where you just get thrown into this chaotic crunch.
And when it comes to people's pets, they are picky.
Yeah.
You do not screw up their pets.
And I don't blame them. Yeah. I would be picky too, for sure. But be reasonable. Be reasonable. Like, when we had Hogan, person sitting down with a paintbrush. This is not a screen printed thing.
Yeah, when we had Hogan do a portrait of our pug, Rufio, of our black pug with one eye. And it was great. I just told her, I was like, here's a picture. Just go for it.
Yeah.
I was like, just go for it. It's for Lauren for, I think it was her birthday or Christmas gift or something. But I was like, I know what it's like. I do painting stuff too. So here's a picture. Do what you want.
Yeah.
I know it's going to be awesome.
It turned out to be one of my favorite ones she ever did too.
Yeah. It was so good. Awesome. He looks very regal.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So burnout is real. If you're not enjoying the process, if it's no longer enjoyable, it's time to think about it, whether it's something still worth pursuing or finding something different.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm sure like with Hogan, with doing the pet portrait stuff, it's like I found something I enjoy doing, but now it's a burden because, and that's the thing, where do you draw the line between doing it because you love it, but also it would be so cool to do what you love for money, right?
Yeah.
But with that comes, it's now a job. You know, it's like, how do you, because we talk about if you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. It's like, well, yes and no, you know, because work is still work.
Yeah.
I love painting. I love writing. And I love logo design and stuff, but then I was doing that for a while and I was like, well, I do love this, but I also hate this now.
I know. It's made me hate art now. I don't know.
It's like, where's that line, you know?
I don't know. I think if you're doing it for money, it's just not going to be enjoyable because the money is never going to be enough compared to the amount of time you put into it and the finished product. Depending on what you're doing, like if you have a really good communicative way with people and they understand up front, like this is the time frame, this is how this works, there are no exceptions to that, you know, and they're willing, you know. But I think it also has to do with what demographic are you trying to reach, because that makes a huge difference too. If you are providing a service to a demographic that is going to compare your art to what they can get in Hobby Lobby or they can get in Walmart or whatever, then that's the wrong demographic and you're never going to satisfy anyone. You're never going to make money. If you are finding a demographic that is wanting it for like the artistic value, or they're wanting it for the sentimental value, and those are people who are going to get it because that's why they want it. It's sentimental, it's artistic, it's something they appreciate. They're not going to care what it costs. Yeah. Because they're going to want that. And so I think demographic plays a huge part in that too. Mm-hmm. And if you live in an area where you have that demographic, that's a really good place to be. If you live in an area where that demographic is not there, maybe you need to find a different area. Yeah. Or reach out to a different like clientele or something. But yeah, I think if your sole intent is doing art just for money, I think you're going to have a really hard time. Just because it's just going to, it's going to make it. Well, it's
because your focus is now on the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's going to make it not enjoyable.
Yeah, because your focus used to be on creating something beautiful, and now your focus is on, I have to make something that people want so I can sell it. Mm-hmm. And so, like you're saying, finding the demographic and everything, like I think that is true for certain fields of creativity. Like if you're a logo designer or something, you have to have a demographic. If you're making candles, you have to have a demographic. Certain areas like that. If you're a chef, you have to have a specific demographic for the food you're going for. But I think like as writers, like if you're a writer, if you're a painter, if you're a film producer, if you are making music, almost spilled my drink. Like those fields of creativity, like I think that the focus needs to be on create something that you want, not what other people want. At that point, it's like when you're creating that, it's like you need to create something that you would listen to, you would eat, you would read, create it for the sake of creating it. Because that is when that stuff becomes beautiful and genuine. And when those things turn into, I have to write this record for this specific demographic, then you're not being yourself. You're writing something. You're writing music to sell. Yeah, it's not about art at that point. You're not going to have any longevity. Yeah, and if you're making movies because rom-coms are huge again, let's make a rom-com and. It's like, well, it's not going to be a work of art. It's just going to be
done in time for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, exactly. It's just going to be a cash grab. I'm looking at you, Hallmark. It's just going to be a cash grab, But if you're writing a book that is your story, because it's something from your mind that you're like, this book has not been written and I want to read it. Mm-hmm. So that's why you're writing it. You'll find that that's going to sell so much better than you trying to write Twilight or something in that line.
Totally. One of my favorite things is when you see artists who they are like set in who they are and what they do, and people know them for what they do. And their business model is, okay, I have 10 spots available.
Yeah.
If you want a custom piece, book now. And then they fill up their spots, and then they don't take any more commissions.
Yeah.
And then in that, they communicate directly with the client, and they're like, listen, to even preserve this spot is this much.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I will tell you that you'll have your piece within 6 months or whatever. And that to me always made more sense than trying to do the, like, you know, someone orders and then you have a time frame and you get it out, and then because like if it's open order, then people can just throw in orders, or they can try and be as, you know, you'll get slammed, and then you're never going to get out from under that. And no amount of money is going to be worth that stress.
Yeah, for sure.
I always thought it was cool when the artists were like, okay, I got this many spots. You can book with me now. And then if you don't book now, you won't be available. I won't be available until next year.
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
That always made more sense. I always kind of like admired those people for having the ability to just like cut it off when they were filled up.
We have a tattoo artist friend in Oklahoma City, Lauren Miller. I don't remember what shop she's at now, or if she's kind of doing her own thing now, but she's an amazing tattoo artist. But she's the same way. She's like, okay, January to June is going to be opening up in 3 weeks. These are the dates available from January to June.
That's awesome.
You're going to sign up now. Once those are filled, it's done, you know? And then like you can't book until July, until I open up bookings for July through December, you know? And then like when it gets to June, she's like, okay, July through December is going to be open up next week. Get ready.
That's awesome.
You know, I'm going to book it. And then if you're no walk-ins, like you have to be booked and you have to put a deposit down. And
that's the way to do it, man, I think.
And she books everything in a day.
Oh,
like she'll book the whole January through June in one day.
That's awesome.
You know, like she's that good.
That's like a hairstylist or a nail tech that they'll do the same thing. They'll have like, I have openings for next month or whatever, and they're full like months out. Yeah, most of the time, because they take reservations and all that. I think that's the best way to do it with art, in my opinion.
And I think it's because those are people that know their worth, that aren't cutting themselves short, you know, and they're doing it because it is something they love, you know, because I feel like being a tattoo artist who is literally booking her whole year, like you kind of have to enjoy the process, I would think, to put yourself through that. I mean, the money's good too, you know, whatever, but I mean, I think you have to enjoy the process if you're going to put yourself through that much, you know? So, I mean, I think, kind of the tips today is enjoy the process, figure out what that looks like for you, you know, and
find a formula.
And there, I mean, obviously there's a lot more to talk about that we can't cover tonight. Like there is a way to run a successful business doing art, doing something that you love. And it can be a process you enjoy every day. It's just having to find that, you know, and obviously we can't talk about, we could go another 2-3 episodes just talking about that kind of stuff, you know. This is just more of the generic overall, what does your process look like? Is it still enjoyable to you? And if not, what can you change to make it be enjoyable? And if it's not enjoyable, then go find something else to do, you know, fill that with something else.
And it's okay if your art is not your main breadwinner.
Oh yeah,
like
absolutely.
It does not have to be. Just because you are an artist does not mean you're required to sacrifice your passion just for money. Like that's probably one of the worst things you could do.
Yeah.
If you are able to find like a steady income providing job and then do art on the side, you might actually be happier doing your art at that point. And you got to find balance. You got to do what works for you.
Absolutely.
But if your sole focus is, I'm an artist, so that's what I have to do, you're probably going to get burned out pretty quick. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
Or my thought.
Yeah, you'll get burned out. Obviously, you want to chase that dream, but you got to be realistic in the sense of, you got bills to pay. It's okay to have a side job. It's okay for your main job to be a barista or a grocery clerk, whatever it needs to be. Got to pay them bills first and foremost to be able to afford your products to work on things.
And you do not owe anyone an explanation. Like you don't owe anyone an explanation of your life and your decisions. If you want to go full time into art, then do it. Like you don't have to You do not need to explain yourself. Art doesn't need a reason.
Yeah.
Like, it needs to exist because it just does. And so,
no matter what your lawmakers say.
Yes, exactly. So if you have people in your life who are like thinking you are an idiot or just like wasting your time because you're passionate about your art, surround yourself with other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something.
That's
like
true.
Find a place where you can have balance, but you don't owe those people anything. Like, you don't owe them the explanation of to why you're doing what you're doing. Like, it's your life and you have giftings and talents, and you should definitely lean into those. You shouldn't sacrifice them for someone else's personal opinion. Like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No, that's 100% true. Yeah, it's okay to love that art. It's okay to pursue that passion to eventually, I mean, because that's a dream for all of us, is we can do what we love and get paid for it.
For sure.
You know, and so eventually we'll all get there, or at least have a little taste of what that's like, you know. And, you know, from experience, like, I'm an artist and I've constantly have had, you know, 3 or 4 jobs at a time, just, you know, like, cause I gotta pay bills. I gotta get money to fund audio equipment, video equipment, you know, so you gotta work and do that, but it's okay. Just as long as you are still creating something, you know, just create. And like Ben said, if you're ready to jump out, you don't know an explanation, get out there and create that art and do that full time if you can. Just please be responsible about it.
Yeah. Don't like give up your entire life savings.
Yeah, we don't want you to be a starving artist.
To go paint on the street. That's, you know, I mean, you could do that if you live in Paris or something.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us this week. I think it's time to see what our next week's prompt is going to be.
Oh, yes.
This felt so good to get back, man.
Yeah, this is good. This is fun. Good topic.
Oh, I forgot to rearrange this list. So do 1 through 8.
Random number generator. Let's pull that up real quick. 1 through 8. We are going to generate number 1.
Ooh, number 1. Oh, see, that's the one I forgot to do. So how about I just jump to number 2?
Number 2. Sounds good.
Number 1 was one we've already done. I forgot to take it off.
Okay.
The list. Like I told you, I was like, I forgot to reset this list before we started today. Okay. It is Hogan again.
Oh, nice.
Yep. And this one is a time you truly felt free or felt yourself. That's going to be a very personal one, I believe. So
probably
it's gonna be great. Yeah, a time you truly felt free or felt yourself.
Oh man, there's a lot of room to work with on that one.
I could write a lot of those. So.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, well, I'm excited for that one.
Yeah,
there'll probably be a lot of stuff coming out of that. So.
Well, Nathan, I hope you liked your poem about the ducks.
Yeah,
and the geese. And Hogan is super excited to write this one. So this is Hogan's second suggestion that we are going to do. And don't forget, you also can send in your suggestions to just find us on social media at TwoPoetsPodcast, or you can send us an email at twopoetspodcast@gmail.com. And please, if you haven't already, go give us a review on Apple Music or Spotify. You know, we want to know how we're doing.
Yes.
We'd love to hear from you to know how we're doing. And those ratings and reviews help others see how good or bad our show is. If it's bad, let us know. We're fine with that. We can take it. We're artists.
We kind of don't care if it is bad.
That's true.
We're kind of interested. We're okay.
Awesome. Well, as always, I'm Corey.
I'm Ben.
See you next week.
Peace.